Hello everyone, I'm Madeline. You might recognize me as one of the account managers in the BD team. So now you've been introduced to the whole Get Your Guide Originals experience, and hopefully now you have a better understanding of what the actual product is all about and why it's relevant right now. But that said, I think it's time to get more practical and talk more about what's actually in it for you as partners and what can you do to jump on board and get started with promoting originals. So moving on to the next slide and kind of taking a step back and looking at your challenges. So as an account manager, one of the most common questions that I receive from my partners is, Madeline, what are the best tours to promote? And I think this is a common challenge that a lot of you can relate to. And quite frankly, we have a lot of inventory. We have 50,000 tours and activities to choose from, and they're all quite good, but knowing which tours are the best ones to promote is definitely a challenge. So based on this, we do recognize that there is a need from our end to provide you with direction and guidance on what tours to prioritize. Which brings me to the question then, how might we ensure that you and all of you always know what tours are the best ones? And I think you can anticipate my answer to this question, but it's quite simple. We can move on to the next slide. And it's by having Get Your Guide Originals as your go-to recommendation for the best thing to do. So on our end, we're fully committed to your success, and we want you to deliver the best experience for your customers and your travelers. And in that remark, originals are the best. So you already got the full pitch from Kira and Jens on why originals is so great. So there's no need to cover that in more detail, but simply it's loved by customers, it's led by experts, and it's perfected by us. So this brings me to my next point. What do you then do with this piece of information? So to answer this, right now, a lot of you are planning content for upcoming months. So on one hand, I would really encourage you to think about how you can incorporate originals in new touch points and new content. Let's say you have plans to write a destination guide on London. Well, great. The Harry Potter Originals tour is your go-to recommendation for the best thing to do here. Secondly, on the other hand, I would also encourage you to have a think about how you can optimize existing content. So look at existing destination guides that you have written and see, can you include originals in any way? So how might you ensure that originals are always included as a primary recommendation in your content? My main tip would be one, to build excitement for your readers. This is an initiative that we are very excited about, that travelers are very excited by it, and hopefully you as well as partners. And I think the best way to do this is to paint a picture for your audience of what they can expect. So as Kira mentioned earlier, more than 80% of our reviews are more than 5 stars. So what this means is that travelers really love these experiences and they're quite vocal about it. So go in and read the reviews that are there and see how you can use them to gain personal insights if you haven't taken the tour that you can use to include in your content as well. The second point that I would call out, and another tip, is to focus on establishing safety and trust. So I think we shouldn't forget the reality that we are living in right now. Health and safety is a primary concern for everyone, and it will be an important deciding factor for tourists before booking anything to do with any travel in the near future. So I would encourage you again to emphasize, the booking flexibility that originals offer, as well as highlighting the COVID-19 and safety measures that have been implemented.
I'm Kat, and I'm Partner Success Manager at Get Your Guide. And I'm mainly focusing on the Benelux market. And that's why today I want to share this example of one of my biggest travel guides in Belgium. And they really managed to successfully integrate Get Your Guide's originals in their content plan. So as you can see on the right, you see an article about Harry Potter and what tours there are in London. So what happened was, back in February, so a few months ago, I had a meeting with my partner during which I introduced the Get Your Guide Originals. And after actually also experiencing Get Your Guide Original tour, my partner really was convinced about the added value of the originals. And based on this experience and our recommendations, he really made sure to check the destinations that he was covering, checked which originals we have in which destinations, and then he really managed to optimize existing articles accordingly, but also write new articles dedicated about the originals. So where to find the originals? We have a dedicated landing page, which you can find on the URL in this presentation. And on this page, you can really see the full overview of all the originals we have. And then you can check which category, but also which destinations. So how then do you find the right tour to recommend to your audience? Well, check the tour locations. Am I covering these destinations? Are my customers going to this destination? And then you can also check other categories. Do you want to promote day trips or walking tours? But then, of course, something to keep in mind maybe is the current situation, and you might want to think of promoting domestic options. So if your audience is coming from Italy, you might want to promote the originals in Italy.